Hi there, Tarot people. So, here I am back on my throne of cups, we can call it, on the river. And the card of the day today is the King. Let's see if we can see a good picture. There he is, the King of Cups, sitting on his very strong and stable throne in the middle of the ocean there, with his cup and wavy crown. This is our masculine energy, which is normally a little bit uncomfortable in this feminine realm of cups and emotions and feelings, in this watery subconscious zone. Masculine doesn't naturally feel the most natural in this environment, and yet this king is, I would say, he's a rare king because of that, because in this patriarchal world that we live in, men and women are taught to suppress their feelings and emotions, and this is the king who is the opposite of that, and he is that part of us who expresses himself freely and shares his emotions without any fear of judgment, without any self-doubt, without any self-criticism. He is mature and comfortable within his emotional body. And yeah, that's kind of rare in this day and age, because we're taught to suppress and repress our feelings, and we're taught to hide them, and we're taught to be afraid of the fear which is also inside of our emotional body. And we'll deny a lot of our watery nature because of this. And yet this king represents a very different, and speaks about a very different message. He speaks about a very different calling and a different purpose. His job is to hold space for that watery element. His job is to be able to be that stable and grounded essence inside of us, while all of those chaotic, crazy waves of emotion just go to and fro. And he is that rock in the ocean which can take the battering of the stormy seas and be stable inside of it. He is where we are sitting. It's when we're sitting in the center of the pendulum, and the pendulum's still swinging and we're still on it, but we're in the center just watching the extremes go back and forth, and we can hold space for that emotional craziness to just reach its extremes, reach its depths, reach its potential. This is the divine masculine really taking care of the divine feminine and holding space for her to experience the depth of her subconscious and to express herself freely. This is an energy which is quite powerful in the healing context, because if we find this connection to this King of Cups, then we are able to express ourselves and have this outward going masculine energy which isn't afraid to share how we feel, what we want, what's going on the inside, and at the same time be able to hold space for and manage and cope with this crazy emotional flow of feelings that comes and goes in our lives on a day-to-day basis. And so this twofold, this ability to hold space for ourselves and this ability to hold space for the world around us, this is very much of a healing energy in that when we are really in connection with how we feel, and we are really able to listen and to feel the darkest of emotions equally as we are able to feel the highest of emotions, we don't get carried away with our empathy, and our sensitivity can actually increase, and we can sit empowered in our own ability to feel and to sense our environment without that environment really pulling us out of ourselves and taking us away from our truth and our stability. And this king represents that stability inside of the ocean. He represents the ability to be that rock for a chaotic emotional space in the world. And the chaos is beautiful because it's hyper creative, very artistic in nature, and in order to bring out that creative artistic, we need to be able to go deep inside of those, inside of the connection to the subconscious, which is from where all that creativity comes. If we don't feel a safe sense of security inside of ourselves, we won't be able to dive into the depth of our subconscious, and we won't feel we won't feel safe enough to be able to express ourselves fully. We'll always feel an inhibition. We'll always feel this fear of what other people might think and how they might react to us, because we in turn are afraid of our own reactions to ourselves and to the world around us. So this king is a very psychic, empathic, compassionate, sensitive. He's a great giver, because all the masculine kings are givers, and he's much more comfortable giving than receiving, and he's much more comfortable sharing and expressing himself. He's also a fantastic listener, and he will encourage the people around him to express themselves in ways that they normally wouldn't feel comfortable, because they feel safe in his non-judgmental presence. And this is the message of the king. So if we don't manage to hold space for ourselves very well, then maybe we can kick in a little bit more. We can ask ourselves to be mature enough to feel a sense of security inside of ourselves. He is a great boundary placer. He's very conscious of the boundaries he places upon himself, and so he'll encourage people to hold their own boundaries in a more mature way as well, in a more conscious way. And this is what he asks. This is the lesson that he's come to teach us. He's come to teach us not to be afraid of our sensitivity, but to be able to use it, and to be able to be conscious of the boundaries that we need to set in place in order to feel safe to sit in and express and to share how we feel and what's going on the inside. And he represents that fearlessness to do so. He's a little bit, when you see this king, he looks a little bit unsure of himself. He looks a little bit, maybe not the most comfortable. Why? Because he's got a lot going on the inside, but he is the master of his emotions, and he doesn't need to share everything. He will only share what is needed at the right time. This is his gift. This is his message. Hope you enjoyed this today, and find your throne to sit on. Sit and meditate within your stronger boundaries and your strong masculine energy that's not afraid to share, and go and express some of your feelings and desires to the world.